Alright, yeah, also today we're going to be scaling the OG animatronics from the first FNAF game. We're going to be going over games first because there's just not that many feats to go over and sort of their baseline. And then we'll be going over the books after this. So firstly, in the games, they're able to dismantle humans, which is street to wall depending on the method. They'd be relative to at least Mankle, who can bite through the human skull, taking the frontal lobe with it, which is street to wall as well. And we know that she would actually be able to be used to scale the OGs because she's literally one of them, as she predates the toys entirely and is only made to look like a toy. They're most likely like wall overall if only using games, but higher with the books for the next slide. And this also applies to the withered animatronics to some extent. However, the withereds are specific, like slower and a couple other things, so it can't be used to have them at the exact same level. Go to the next slide. Let's just start talking about books right here. Firstly, the main thing I want to talk about here, they have a lot of different like wall feats, essentially breaking door hinges or whatever, but those are kind of redundant because we already know they're wall from the games. So I'd rather talk about the small building arguments. So firstly, there's two. Right here, obviously, it's the Twisted Freddy right here, who is literally wall breaking through this somewhat thick concrete wall easily. Who then gets pretty quickly dismantled by the robots, both in these graphic novels right here, and then also depicted more accurately in the novels. They're basically like no to low diff them, meaning that like depending where you scale these guys are at least wall. Some people say small building, but no matter where you scale them, you can use that to justify them being small building. The second thing would be the destruction of like the surrounding area, being the cave, the actual like pizzeria itself, and also this small wooden house that we see over here. I think I'll just go to the next slide for that in a second, but yeah, I was dead right now. I'll come back to the slide to refer to these specific images. So what we do know is that the fire weakened the buildings as stated directly. If you go here, there's a whole battery out there. They got the whole place coming down. Also, this fire didn't help either, I'll admit it. And we also see fire literally everywhere, destroying the building. And this is in the pizzeria specifically. So, yeah, fire weakened buildings as stated, with the house being old and abandoned, and primarily made of wood. It happened over multiple pages in the real novels, switching between these different POVs of different encounters throughout the area, slowly damaging the supports of the buildings. Very old buildings, by the way, through max like small building AP feats, which eventually caused the eventual collapse of the buildings and the cave over time, both of which would only really qualify as small buildings. Well, not really a cave, I should have edited that, but the cave is another issue. But as a result of multiple different conversations over the span of many pages. This was done from the OGs and the Twisteds fighting together, as well as a little bit of damage done from like the humans fighting or resisting against robots, and definitely Springtrap as well. So it was done over time to building with questionable durability to their age and the raging fire. And the cave itself likely collapsed for similar reasons as caves IRL due to simple mining practice, such as just mining the wrong part of the wall, or simple wall level explosives disturbing the soil. They didn't really destroy the buildings or the cave or anything at all. They just caused the structures beneath it to collapse, basically, by just weakening the foundation. So this couldn't be used for anything above small building. And this is just based on logic, but also for consistency reasons, since most of the feats are walled, it couldn't be used to be any higher. Okay, so here's this. A lot of people try to use I'll go to these screenshots on here. A lot of people try to use this 1.21 gigawatts of power that the OGs were able to absorb essentially to scale durability, but that's incredibly it's just false essentially. Here, I'll explain the reasons right here. So tanking fires or electricity for calcs. So trying to do this completely ignores inherent resistance to heat-based power by being an inherently conductive robot whose soul resides in the metal itself, either a resistance feat or a best in ability feat. Additionally, 1.2 gigawatts is not even enough to kill average humans. It is equivalent to a lightning strike, and Scott is directly referencing the film Back to the Future, as you can see right here. If you've ever seen Back to the Future, you know about the lightning strike. You know about it's the exact same energy produced by a lightning strike, which struck the clock tower, which was tanked by like the Doc and which was just tanked by Doc literally because he had to conduct it himself, who is a normal human. Humans have tanked numerous lightning strikes in a row, even in real life, in freak accidents, and just walked away. Like, this is not lightning strikes. Electricity itself was not used for durability at all. You cannot convert that. You can try to convert it to joules, but even so, based on these reasons above, wouldn't be usable. Humans tank it, so it's like below average, like average human tanking when actually put into real life practice. Yeah, with 2 seconds of critical thought, you can easily debunk it. It's just simply not usable to try to justify like building plus durability. I think that's no. I have one more slide. I guess overall they are low small building and are consistent with robots like the Fun Times, who I'll cover later. But being completely honest, their feats of small building aren't the most solid things ever, but they're decent, so I slip them in basically. Books are canon enough to be considered, as they take place in only different continuity, but not a completely different verse based on different logic. At most, you consider a parallel universe, but even then, it would still mean the OGs could perform the same feats as the book versions, because it's just a different take on the same universe. So in terms of scaling games and books, it's most accurate.